Labor Day weekend. We'll wait for the candidates on Labor Day. But meantime, Joe Biden doubling down in his wake of the latest gaffe, defending a war story he told on the campaign trail, even after the Washington Post pointed out, well, several inaccuracies. The former vice president saying, quote, "I don't know what the problem is." And with that, we bring in the host of the Michael Knowles Show, Michael Knowles himself. I know you love to rip on Biden about these things, but it's not like this is proof that Joe Biden has suddenly developed some issue with his old age. He's always done these kinds of things. What's the problem now?
This is exactly right. You could try to blame it on old age, except this has been the hallmark of Joe Biden's career for decades, which is that the man simply has no regard for the truth. In 1988, he had to drop out of the presidential race because he lied about his own law school record. And then it's not even just the self-aggrandizing lies that we expect of politicians. He even tells malicious and gratuitous lies about others. I mean, even the worst tragedies. In 1972, Joe Biden's wife and daughter were killed.
Oh, okay, but Michael, one can reasonably agree that the standard in politics from 1988 when Biden dropped out of the race today is slightly different. We have a president who has his own unique relationship with the truth and with statements as well. So does Biden get a lot more leeway now than he did back then?
Well, this is why I mention his wife and daughter, because, of course, politicians lie, and President Trump will sometimes exaggerate reality, and this has been a hallmark of his brand for decades, let's put it that way. But in 1972, Joe Biden's wife and daughter were tragically killed in a car accident, and it was an awful event, but the police definitively concluded that the other driver was innocent. It weighed on this other driver, Curtis Dunn, until his death in 1999. And then almost immediately after his death, Joe Biden began baselessly smearing this man as a drunk driver. It was absolutely egregious. Even The Atlantic called him out for it in 2010. I mean, this is a man who simply has no regard for the truth. And if you're going to run against President Trump on the campaign line that Trump is a liar and Trump has poor character, then when you look at Joe Biden, it's hard to imagine a worse candidate to put up against President Trump on that campaign argument.
All right, so we look at the 10 candidates who are going to be on the debate stage, many, as you point out, making the point that President Trump is a liar in their words, and they want him out for that reason. Biden, Sanders, Warren, Harris, Buttigieg, Booker, Klobuchar, O'Rourke, Yang, and Castro. We know what you think of Julian Castro's candidacy, as significant as what you had for breakfast today. Any that are as significant as what you're going to have for, say, dinner tonight?
Until you mentioned it, I actually forgot that Julian Castro was still running in this race. The dropping out of Kirsten Gillibrand, I think, actually tells us something. Not because she was ever a serious candidate, but it shows you what kind of candidates are doing well and which ones are not. Kirsten Gillibrand was the classically contrived candidate. Nobody was clamoring for her to run. She's held every side of every single issue. The same could be said of Joe Biden.
Wasn't she hold on. She had a reason to run. Wasn't she the one who was going to tell everybody what their white privilege was and explain to suburban moms why they had white privilege and therefore they voted for Trump incorrectly?
Exactly. She was going to use her white privilege to tell everyone about her white privilege. And, of course, she gets knocked out of the race. Whereas candidates like Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren, whatever you want to say about them, at least they've held pretty true to their beliefs. They may be poised to do better in the race.
Well, it's going to be fascinating to watch Sanders-Warren play out on stage. Michael Knowles will break it all down, heard on podcasts around the world, and the Michael Knowles Show wherever you subscribe. Good to see you, buddy.